carburetors are the same. This is about as equal as it gets.
That is the goal, is to take that element out, because it's not just the cost element of that. It is the skill set. The chassis setup is probably, and you have engine tuning, chassis setup, and driver skill, and all three of those things are critically important. And by taking sort of two of them out and making it about the driver, it lets people kind of get in the beginning and do it. And then if you are a good mechanic, you can go up to the other classes, and if you feel like you want to gain, that's the way you want to gain your advantage, there are other classes of racing that let you do that.
It's an inspiration. I love karting at its core, and a championship like this really gives the drivers a chance to be at their best on a level playing field. So that for me is the biggest compliment I could ever pay Tilotson. Charles, thank you so much for talking with us. I know you're going to enjoy the rest of the Nations Cup. We've only got 3 races to go today, and then the big show tomorrow.
Let's go. I can't wait for tomorrow. All right, guys. Thanks for coming back. Thanks for doing the commentating. You're doing a great job.
Thanks, Charles.
And thanks, everybody, for watching.
Thank you very much. We're going straight into the action then. Great to hear from our Tilotson Limited President, Charles Demerjian. And now we will get into the action for the first of our 3 remaining races in T4 Senior. Qualifying heat, D versus E. Ian Quinn and Guy Beattie, Lucas Blanford and Stefano Perseguin, Warren Russell and Yemo Janin, Philip Rawson and Max Duda, Eric Cuesto and Timo Hermus, Stephen Miller and Jesus Sora, Rimme Boltiers and Phil Becker, Marco Rosic and Ollie Clark, Wen Senan and Keanu Friends, Marcus de Cambra and Jason Bradbury, Jaden Grutians and Rafael Fabrega, Tyler Brereton and Joey Essen, Max Zhang and Nicolas Safiris, Marco Pedrana, Ade Guillen, Amelie Akitz, Raul Okatoma, Adam Mashgani, Vinny Stoltz, Vitaly Panchuk and Froinen Varela at the tail end of the field. As it stands at the moment, Simon, Jorn Bremer on 6, Jose Gomez on 8, Ian Quinn and Lucas Blanford on 11, Stefano Perseguin on 13, and don't forget, all the way back now on 37 is Noah Rosser. This could still go anybody's way before we even get to the superheats.
It can now. We're not going to see a huge amount of action in the top 2. Jorn Bremer and Jose Gomez not taking part in this heat, but Ian Quinn in 3rd, Lucas Blanford in 4th, Stefano Perseguin in 5th. Federico Peters not featuring in this contest, but Andrea Goretzky not featuring here either, but places 3, 4 and 5 all taking part in this heat in the overall heat points standings. So it's going to be very interesting to see what the results are like between Quinn, Blanford and Perseguin as they all organise themselves and get back into their tram lines.
And of course they're going to be 1st, 3rd and 4th on the starting grid for this one. Only Guy Beattie can really upset the party for them in the grid, but in the race it could be completely different. For the last time for groups D and E in T4 Senior, let's race in Valencia, and it's a perfect start from Blanford behind Quinn as he forces him to the first corner. He's going to get support as well from Warren Russell, the Irishman. He's going to try and find his way past Guy Beattie. He does, having had a little bit of support from Philip Rawson, who also cannons into 4th position. Guy Beattie has to settle for P5 as they go through the chicane. Will they all make it through? Yes, just about through the chicane this time. No flamboyance, as everybody knows that they've got to try and make it to the end. You can't win on lap 1, but you can definitely lose. And everybody has learned that lesson as they work their way through the top end. But it's Quinn, Blanford, Russell, Rawson and Guy Beattie.
Difficult start there for Guy Beattie, doing his best, but unfortunately round the outside of turn number 2 it's very difficult to make that move work, as there's 2 drivers who've come a cropper towards the back of the pack. We'll take a look and bring you news as to who that is as our leaders rocket their way down the back straight in towards the final chicane for the first time this race to conclude lap number 1.
Oh, it's Amelie Akitz and Froilan Varela who both get involved in that one. Very unfortunate for the Brit and the Dominican. They have both recovered and rejoined at the back of the field, Simon, but unfortunately it has put them right to the tail end of the field. Big problems as well for Jesus Sora, who's lost ground, as too has Phil Becker.
And unfortunately Kino Ferenz not able to take the start for this heat, so a difficult time for the Dutchman. Unfortunately, mixed fortunes there for the Netherlands as we see a move now for position number 3, and that's a fantastic battle now that's emerging between Russell, Rawson, Guy Beattie and Stefano Persegin as they make their way down towards turn number 10. It is a fantastic advantage that has been gained. Is that Philip Rawson who has managed to make his way? No, it is Warren Russell. Warren Russell doing a fantastic job to secure 3rd place, and then in behind him, that looks to be potentially Eric Cuesto might be getting involved in this battle, actually.
Yeah, it's a very impressive performances on this first lap. Quinn is not pulling away quite as well as he'd like to. Blandford has still got good pace behind him. Then comes Russell, Rawson, and then it is Beattie, Persegin and Cuesto, like you pointed out. Janen, then it is Stephen Miller, and then we've got Rimme Boltiers in the top 10 just in front of Timo Hermos, sorry. Then it is Marcos the Canberra, and Wenjiang Zinan has actually done a great job, the Chinese driver, to work his way forward. But Stephen Miller now bangs in the fastest lap of the race at the end of 2. So we're going to see if there's going to be any more big moves. Rawson again tries on Warren Russell, and that attempt has opened the door for Guy Beattie. Beattie's going to hop over the curbs to try and finish off the move. He gets there, and so too does Persegin at the expense of Philip Rawson, who now drops back to 6th position. He's got to be careful that Eric Cuesto doesn't get a run on him on the back straight.
Well, that's a difficult time then for Guy Beattie falling down. Gaining positions. Philip Rawson falling down to 6th. So the man who's based out of Dubai having a difficult time here in the hot Valencia sun. He's a part-time model, is Philip Rawson, so a man with many skill sets, although dare I say he's going to be properly sweating in that car. So we see rocketing down towards turn 1, Warren Russell doing his utmost to defend from Guy Beattie. Guy Beattie has got through and he's run wide. Warren Russell retakes the position and now trying to follow him through and indeed succeeding. That looks like Stefano Persegin from Italy doing a tremendous job. In other news, Philip Rawson is trying to see what he can make out of all of this, but the answer at the moment is not a huge amount.
That was the chess move from Warren Russell. He knew Guy Beattie was there, so he squeezed him as much as he possibly could to the inside, braked early, let him have it, and then tucked back to the inside on the exit of the turn 1 radius. Now Beattie's going to try and get him back again. Rawson will dive in on Persegin at the same breath. Beattie will come through. Russell is trying to keep his foot in round the outside. No way can he finish that off. He's still side by side with Beattie, and he is going to finish it. Warren Russell, amazing defence. He could be in defence for Ireland in the football. Amazing work from Warren Russell to hold that round the outside. And Guy Beattie venting his frustration. Come on, we're losing ground to the leaders. Warren Russell couldn't care less.
Well, Ian Quinn and Lucas Blandford respectively are going to be licking their chops at the thought of this. They're going to be periodically checking over their shoulder or on the exit of a corner, just having a quick glance at the corner of their visor and seeing this group falling further and further behind as they go battling. And a big push there. That is Guy Beattie getting a push and a shove, it looks like, out onto not quite the grass, but certainly the marbles.
I think it was Miller. Miller got pitched around there, unfortunately. So certainly one of the drivers in that gaggle was pitched around. It's one of the USA drivers, I think, that ended up pirouetting, and I think it was Stephen Miller. We'll double check. It might have been Eric Cuesto, but we'll double check again as they come through. It was Miller, so we're down into 11th position just in front of Bradbury. So now we've got Quinn, who's pulled out from Blandford, who's pulled well clear of Russell. Then Rawson, Beattie, Cuesto, Boltier, Zanen, Hermos, Persegin, and Stephen Miller.
Fantastic contest emerging, and we've only just completed lap number 5. What a tremendous affair this is turning out to be. The leaders streaking away, and that battle for 3rd place has settled down considerably. Now sort of a battle for 5th could be our best hope, with Guy Beattie leading a train as we see a move up the inside there from Rimme Boltiers up the inside of Eric Cuesto. It looks like Cuesto now going to be coming under pressure from Hermos and Persegin, who's fallen significantly down the order there. Persegin now trying to find his way past Hermos, but nothing he can do thus far. Perhaps a move down into turn 10, although that's going to cost them even more time, and Persegin thinks better of it.
That's the thing about these 4-stroke karts. You've got to remember remember that the momentum is such a big thing. When you make an overtaking move, the back end's going to step out a little bit. You lose that little sway of momentum. If a driver can react to that quickly, you can lose the move and then gain it back again in an undercut switch. So you've got to keep your reactions favorable. You've got to keep your eyes on stalks if you want to make these overtaking moves bounce back in your favor. So the momentum is very tough at this point to try and counteract. But for the moment at least, it is still Quinn. A second clear now of Blanford. This is Ian Quinn's best chance of trying to seal the victory. He's on 11 points. There's very little he can do about that. But all he can do here to guarantee the best possible starting position for tomorrow is to take another victory. And it is so difficult to predict how that is going to play dividends for the competitors around them. They've got to try and make the best of this situation, but it is not easy to keep these tyres going.
Certainly isn't, especially in these temperatures. Air temperature now showing 30 degrees, but it's probably closer to about 32 as we see up the inside. There goes the 29 machine. That's a fantastic move there by Philip Rawson, getting past Warren Russell, the PBR racer who's had fantastic form thus far, being pipped by the current UK Open T4 champion. And that's a move for position number 3 that Warren Russell isn't going to be particularly happy about. The Pancake Man is going to be on a charge, trying to get that third place back, but with only 2 laps left to go, it's going to be a bit of a tall order against the likes of Philip Rawson.
Russell will be frustrated, but Philip Rawson showcasing that immense talent that he always carried across the X30 and Rotax classes back in the day. He still has what it takes, even if karting is no longer his career. Now it's just his hobby, as Rawson continues to put the pressure on the drivers around him. But Quinn out front, Blanford second, and Rawson leading the cavalry behind. But there's a big gap between Quinn and Blanford, and an even bigger gap between Blanford and Rawson. So the real duel is going to be here between the 3rd and 4th place man. But fair play to Quinn and Blanford. They've not got themselves into silly situations. They've raced each other hard and fair, but they've read the percentages. They've looked at how hard they can push the tyres, and they've got themselves into a good position. So Quinn is going to take a 0 score. He'll stay on 11. Blanford is going to take a 2 score. He'll drop to 13, but still be in the top 4 and uncatchable to lose that position. He'll be at worst 4th place. Here we go, final lap, and it's Rawson versus Russell. Big dive from Russell. Rawson goes long into turn 1 to hold the position. Nicely handled by Philip Rawson. He knew that Warren Russell was going to throw everything at him, as Ian Quinn is still lapping quickly to find another fastest lap up front. And here comes the move from Beatty. Beatty dives in on Warren Russell. Squeezes to perfection to get that inside line nailed.
And Rimme Bolches is going to be thinking, what can I do here down into turn number 10? Warren Russell going to be looking to make that move past Rimme Bolches. Indeed, he goes for the dive. Will he be able to? No, excuse me, that's Rimme Bolches getting past the 2 of them. That is sensational.
Contact! Russell and Beatty.
Beatty off the track. Russell even more off the track, and that is game over more or less for Warren Russell. He makes his way back on. He throws his hand up in absolute frustration on the final lap, the final half a kilometre. He was running in position 3 just 2 laps ago, there or thereabouts. Ian Quinn takes a commanding and sensational victory. Lucas Blanford takes an uneventful but highly valuable second. Philip Rawson is the man of the hour as far as everyone else is concerned, fending off all the competition behind him to secure 3rd place. Ian Quinn and Lucas Blanford should be very grateful to him. Rimme Bolches, in and amongst all of that, gained 9 positions, 2 of them within the final sector to claim 4th. Goodness me.
Only one driver can match that, Jason Bradbury, who went up all the way to 11th, and only one driver can beat that. That's Tyler Brereton, who made up 11. But that final lap contact between Guy Beatty and Warren Russell really paying dividends to neither of them. Guy Beatty in 8th position, Warren Russell all the way down to 13th in the end. Big problems, but Quinn, Blanford and Rawson, sublime. No worries at all for those two as they finally